R5 is 100 by 200 minimum.
Okay.
Yep.
And then a second question on that part of it is, when we talk about them hooking up to services, whatever they are, we say that normally they would hook up to the existing service, but they could hook up separately and have a separate meter. I think we would want, and maybe it's somewhere else, but we'd want to make sure that that was at their cost.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the current wording, council, is that a garden or garage suite shall be serviced through connection to the water and sewer service for the principal dwelling, or at the discretion of the development authority through independent connection to municipal water and sewer infrastructure.
And the
So-
reason I raise it is with,
Yeah.
if it's an independent one, then
There's a cost.
we have a new service
Yeah.
from our main, and so,
Okay.
and maybe that's dealt with elsewhere, and I know that
I don't think it
the
is,
approving
Councillor.
authority could say at your cost, but we might as well just throw that in if it's helpful.
Clarifies.
Yeah, just to clarify.
Utility. Okay, good.
If I could, I have a third question. So relating to the other matter of the setbacks down on the creek, at MPC, one of the primary concerns, so the developer wants to put it, you know, he'd be happy with no setback.
Yeah.
And I know that Ryan had extensive meetings, and you did too, with him in that regard. Are you comfortable, Jeff, that if we had to put a town crew in there to do anything, clear snow, fix a water line, you name it, whatever it is,
Yeah.
Electrical.
that we have room to maneuver without the subsequent landowner who wasn't aware of any of this and just bought the house, saying, hey, you can't do that, or hey, you took my eaves off with your excavator, or the 100 things that'll go wrong in that
Right.
confined space.
Right.
That was our biggest concern with those setbacks, because we agree that it's not a straight shot in a block, you know. But on the other hand, if you have none or very little, we're the guys that are going to be liable for whatever happens or can't happen.
Makes
So-
sense.
I've never been terribly comfortable with the setbacks in this whole development because we don't even have a boulevard for snow removal.
Right, and that
Right.
was,
We don't even have a place to push snow down there.
Yeah.
It has to go on private property, which is gonna come back to haunt us
it is.
somehow when the salt from the snow kills the grass and the flowers,
Or
right?
the blade takes their lawn out, or 100 things.
Yeah,
I
so
agree.
what I would say is the front yard setback remained at 20 feet. So that wasn't reduced. The secondary front on a corner lot and the side yards are down to 10. So that mitigates that to some degree, but it's been a concern prior to this amendment.
Yeah.
You know, two vehicles can't pass there. Well, two large vehicles, I should say, particularly if one of them's construction equipment.
2 unicycles will, but other than that,
But
So no, there is an overall just concern in the development about access and where that things like snow are gonna go, but in this case, the designated front yard is still at 20 feet. So you've technically got 40 feet plus the width of the road.
so we're in no worse position.
That's right.
Councilor Granger?
So in general, I'm okay with the idea. You know, it takes the pressure off, housing crunches, and, there's lots of good reasons to do this, but devil's always in the details. So I have a couple of questions. So, and based on where I've lived and worked in other jurisdictions when this kind of thing was tried, first couple of years is a real learning curve, and one of the things we learned in a couple of places was, people try to hook up a garage using a surface hose, like off a hose bit. That's their water connection to a suite in a garage or a garden shed type structure. And then they freeze so I don't expect to see those kind of details in this bylaw, but all the other requirements for servicing that we have in our suite of bylaws would apply. And so doing servicing to these extraordinary dwelling units is sometimes tricky. So they would have to apply through a building permit or something and show us a design to our public works people that we're not creating a spaghetti water system and that kind of thing, right?
Right.
Is that true?
So I'm just looking, I'm trying to see if there's one of the clauses, if that addresses what you're getting at. There is one that talks about,
To utilities, it says.
we talked about that one already.
I just want the assurance that
Yeah.
it's not gonna be a free-for-all,
It
anything
says shall
goes.
be serviced. I mean, the language in 11:7 says shall be serviced. I mean, so how do we define service? Maybe that's a story,
Well,
right?
we have servicing bylaws, right?
So, yes, that clause, and the next one talks about how, again, these design measures have to be to the satisfaction of the development authority. So,
That's where it is.
I think that's where we have to trust the discretion of the development authority.
So, Councilor Burton, you're on that. Do you guys look at the details of a service connection?
We haven't had occasion to do so.
Well, but you would.
No, but I'm saying,
Yes.
I can't really answer, is it our practice to do that? It isn't our practice to do that because, like you said earlier, the bylaw covers it. Here we're having an addition to it, so I think it's a fair point you raise, do we, for certainty, do we want to address it here, or do we want to leave it? One thing is that it's going to be looked at pretty closely because, we've got a specific section that deals with it.
So-
And it really is subject to, the whole thing is discretionary, right? Because there's those three categories: permitted, discretionary, not permitted. So as soon as it's discretionary, that puts it into the realm where it can be approved with any conditions that the developing
Get to look
authority
at.
sees fit.
Yeah, you get to look at it.
Yeah.
Okay. If I can continue along this vein, so if the homeowner, wants to turn his garage into a dwelling unit, and he wants to rent it, right? Does it get a separate water meter, for example, or not? If it doesn't, then it's up to the tenant and the homeowner to sort out, because the water is only being measured through their one original
Yeah.
residential meter.
Agreed.
Okay.
Same as what's happening now.
And then my last question is, what about electricity and gas?
So it's addressed in here. It's in three different places, if I remember correctly, isn't it, Jeff?
Well, R 1, 3, and 5. There's similar wording in each.
So would there be separate electrical
Seems to me I saw it.
services and gas services?
If I'm missing it, I'm just scrolling here to see.
With their own meters?
Yeah, it just says water and sewer.
That's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
What about
okay.
electricity and gas? Because it can be as problematic as water and sewer.
It'd be easy to expand that to
And we didn't
utilities.
even
Okay.
mention stormwater runoff.
Yeah, it's true.
So, sorry, the engineer in me says these things.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay, Counselor, we'll look at that close and see if we can get some better wording on the remaining utilities.
I just wanted the assurance that if it's not covered off, it needs to be. Okay, thank you.
Anything else on this, anyone? Councilor Jensen?
So just for clarity, so if my house was in the middle of the block and there was not backyard access, and I wanted to put a backyard home dwelling back there. But according to this, you have to have access and you have to have parking.
Right.
So I would not be able to put a backyard dwelling then, is that correct? Because I wouldn't have parking and I wouldn't have necessarily access because I live in the middle of the block and there's no alley. Is that correct, or?
No, it says that you can have front access.
Councilor Brown? Oh,
Yeah, no, go ahead. If I might, there's the clause, so it depends. There's the blanket term. There is a clause that says,
11.
a garden or garage suite located, oh no, sorry, that's on a corner lot, so let me back up.
But it's frontage, as long as there's frontage access.
Right.
It's 11.5 and it refers to Schedule
Yeah,
10.
parking in accordance with Schedule 10.
It's sub 6.
Access to the parking area shall be to the satisfaction of the development authority.
Good.
6 is a corner lot.
Well, as long as it gets approved.
Counselor Brown, what paragraph was that?
That's in 7, that is in 11.7.
But that's for the water. What they're looking for is just access. So 11.5 and 11.6 kind of deal with access.
Yeah, it's gonna have to be the off-street requirement in section Schedule 10.
Yeah.
You can, we've got parking.
So I think, Counselor, as long as you can, if you have enough opening to the side that they can access and it provides off-street parking, it's probably looked on favorably.
That's what I think.
Walkway.
But it'll sit at the discretion of the planning commission as well.
Mhm.
If I could just point out, that's really the safety in it, rather than do be really strict here. It's in a discretionary. MPC will look at it, and parking is probably the number one thing they're going to look at. They're going to start with parking.
Yeah.
Say, where are you going to park? How are you getting to it before you look at anything else? So I think we're okay there.
Yeah, I think so too.
There may be Alberta examples. I mean, a couple of examples that I had experience with this way are outside the province, but there must be examples. But I know in the city of Whitehorse did this, and they had a growing pain period, and a couple of amendments to the bylaw came back to try and sort a few of these things out that they ran into. But there must be other places in Alberta that have done this that we could look at.
Okay. So, Jeff, at this time, do you want us to make a recommendation to approve that land use bylaw amendments with the additional changes that we just spoke about? Would you like to do
I
that?
don't think you need to. I don't think you need to. We'll bring it back, but I need to find out some answers for you. I don't know if you gave me any necessarily changes, just some questions we need to investigate.
Yeah, just something for
Yeah.
clarification from Councillor Burton.
Yeah, so I've got questions on designating costs for utility extensions, on the R3 Creek Works, making sure that our front yard setbacks are still sufficient, that didn't get worse. I'm
And the
quite sure it didn't, but I just want to make sure.
And the utilities.
Concerns with the standards of utility connections, 4Cs in use, more detail in the bylaw.
Yeah,
Utilities should include electrical, gas, storm, and then examples from other places in Alberta. So those are the notes I've taken from this so far.
sounds good.
Okay,
Sounds good.
Okay.
all right. Our 5:15 delegation is here, so we'll move on to that. Brendan Curl, if you want to come on up and have a discussion and go from there.
Good evening. How's it going? I sent out a letter. I'm not sure if you guys read it, all read it and have it. Awesome. So maybe I won't reread it, but I guess I just have made some additional comments on it. But I guess looking at my letter, the biggest dates that we've talked, or that I kind of highlight, is that my family moves in on January 2022, and then June 17th, 2024, we're notified of we don't have a water meter, and then we do what is needed to get a water meter, talk to our plumber. That obviously has dragged out a lot longer than what was needed and wanted. And then we were given a date, a finalized date to have the water meter in. We met that date, and in that letter, the only threat, I guess, or I don't know, was $250 fine. We met that date, and then NMAX contacted us and said that we had $4,000 worth of back charges for water. So I won't reread the letter, but you can see the text messages. You have the pictures of the text messages of me and my builder. Looks like that we tried. We We tried our hardest to get a plumber in, and then eventually just paid for a plumber to do that. But I'll just read additional comments that I've written down, and I did that yesterday. So just, is that okay? You have any questions,
Yeah.
clarifications? Okay. It says, in the town of Carson policy, utility customer relations policy. Here, maybe I will just even give you what I'm reading, just so.
Sure, give it to me.
There you
I'll pass it.
So I think you go to the, well, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, the fourth page, it just says additional comments. So the fourth page, additional comments. So in the town of Carson policy, policy PR 065, that was sent, Jill sent it to me. It states, if by investigation it is proven that the billing is incorrect, the corrections may be adjusted up to a maximum of 12 months. If the error occurred prior to the last 12 months, no adjustments will be made in the billing. After talking to the NMAX billing division, we found out that there have been back charges from January 2024, so more than 12 months from when we installed the water meter. So my NMAX bill is attached further in that document. And so, for example, it would be $1,660.56. And that is the 2024 flat rate fee. I did the math. NMAX walked me through the math. And that goes beyond 396 days for the 2024 flat rate fee. And then they also added on the 64 days of the 2025 flat rate fee. So that's 406 days back charged of a flat rate fee when the policy says that you cannot correct the maximum of 12 months. From your policies, you can only back charge from April 6th, 2024. That is 96 days more than what the policy states, and essentially the flat rate fee should be reduced at least $200 or $402. Additionally, for our back charge of sewer rates, on your website does not state there's a no meter rate for people living in the town of Carson. You have conveniently given me the no meter rate given to the Blood Tribe dwelling of $70.50. I clearly do not live on the Blood Tribe or the Blood Reserve and should not be back charged a standard rate given to only Blood Reserve. Without correct information, the policy to back up the back charges, I believe that I've been wrongfully charged out of frustration rather than because of policy. And so my plea or my settlement statement would be that I would like to reinstate that I'm not here to argue respectfully, but any reasonable person would come to an agreement. And I think the following should be a reasonable agreement. Since April 6th, 2025 to August 13th, I've acquired 129 days of getting a water meter reading. Mind you, this is the water meter reading in the summer months and it significantly increases the water usage. Let's find out the average water meter reading from those days, 129 days, and apply it to a normal meter rate and get back charged 12 months or 365 days from April 6th. Normal water consumption is charged at $1.42, and the back charge I was charged was $4.33. The back charge was a 305% increase. As stated before, we believe this is to have been a mistake from the town originally made due to the lack of communication and should not have back charged us more than 12 months, unlike the policy states. Looking back on my July 22nd bill, again, you can have that attached, and my new August bill, I have used 255 cubic meters of water usage. That would be an average or usage over 4 months and 7 days in the hottest days of the year. With this large sample size, we can determine that my household average water usage is 225 divided by 129 days is 1.98 cubic meters of water used every day. If we took the reasonable and fair usage rate calculated, a back charge for 12 months, this would come out to 722.7 cubic meters of water used. And given the 2024 consumption rate, the standard rate, which is $1.39, would be $1,000.40 $1,000 And then going on to sewage, I can assume that the 722 cubic meters of water that I used in a year, again in the hottest days of the year, is also need to be charged for sewer for the year. So that would be 722.70 times by the regular rate of 0.48. So 48 cents, that would be a charge of $346.90. And my plea is that I feel like that would be a fair way of back charging me, is giving you average use of these 4 months and 7 days. Again, my usage is high because of the summer months, so I guess that's a little bit of a bonus for the town. But I don't think giving a back charge of $4.33 plus sewage would be fair, in the sense that it's a 305% increase when there's a lack of communication and understanding between both sides. And then continue on, it says waste and recycling. These charges seem to be back charged over 12 months also. See MX bill, the July 22nd MX bill. These additional charges should not be on my bill, as the issue was with the water, not waste. The automatic attachment of waste bill onto water bill should be a town administrative mistake and not cause for punishment to new residents and a water meter issue. It is the town's responsibility to ensure that they are getting this bill to the resident and not the water meter installation that should inform administrators to give a waste and recycling bill. I respectfully ask for these charges to be waived. In conclusion, I would like to pay for my average rate usage and be charged the regular rate, only dating back 12 months according to your policy. The beginning of this letter states my family should not be financially punished because of the original mistake of the town and their poor communication as of a deadline and no communication of looming back charges. I would also essentially paying water, sewage, and waste for a full year in one billing. Oh, so I'd ask for an additional time to pay this bill for these fair usage rates, as my family would be essentially paying water, sewage, and waste for a full year in one billing period. So thank you, and that would be
Brandon, thanks for coming and talking to us. I'm sure we have lots of questions to go around the table, so I think Mayor had her hand up first, and we will ask some questions and we'll go from there.
Brendan, I just want to ask you a question. I appreciate you trying to make sense of your bill and of the charge, etc. But I noticed that in your timeline, you said that December 10, 2020, the town approved a single dwelling with a basement suite.
Yep.
So you have renters, and that paid a rent that obviously must have included utilities, since you didn't have a meter and you didn't have anything separate. So you must have had
we charge a flat rate fee.
a flat rate. So in other words, you understood that they understood that they were paying utilities to you. But it seems to me in your presentation that you feel it was okay for them to pay you a utility fees. But now you kind of say, no, I should not have had paid until I had a meter. Seems odd to me that you would think that way.
Well,
It's odd to me because you use a service as a cost.
Mhm.
If you have a service, then we cannot point the finger outside of ourselves. We use a service, we use the water, we use the service connection, we use the garbage pickup. Therefore, the problem stays with us. We're responsible for the service.
And so
Afterwards, it's a different story. You're pointing the finger as to why the bill is wrong. I appreciate your thinking, but I think it's flawed from the start because you're responsible for paying your bills.
So, and then I guess my thoughts would be, I'm not sure if any of you built a new home and you move into your home. That's, I think, honestly, is the last thing that I think about, is going downstairs and checking if my water meter is paid, logging into my NMAX bill, making sure that the town of Carson is doing the job in billing me. When I get my NMAX bill, it's all lumped together, right? You have the energy, you have this, you have all these bills, all the amount, I guess, taken out of my account is one lump sum. And so when I see an NMAX bill, I assume that would be paying the bills. And so, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I would ask you, when was the last time you went downstairs and made sure that your water meter was working? That
To tell you the truth, I check my bill very carefully
Bill-
because I'm interested
Right.
in what I'm paying for.
the bill, correct. And I check my NMAX bill and I get a bank statement saying NMAX has charged this amount. NMAX means utilities. And so that is what I've been charged. And so again, I would like to think that not everyone's going to check and make sure that they have their water meter, it's running correctly. And so it was honestly not until a town worker knocked on our door, said, you don't have a water meter. The next day we get the water meter. Text message our builder, who in return would probably, I would assume, be the fastest way and the cheapest way to get that installed. And so as you see, the back and forth between my builder and was not very successful in getting that in. And yeah, I wouldn't say, some town employees have said that, yeah, but you're stealing town water. Again, I wasn't informed, and I'm willing to back charge according to your policies and pay for the water that I've used for 12 months.
Counselor Granger.
Sorry, I don't agree with your contention that, it didn't occur to you to go look and see if your meter was working because you didn't even know that you needed a meter. We wouldn't even be talking about this if your plumber and your builder had done their job properly.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So I got a couple of questions. My first one is, did the plumber or your builder ever say to you, we have to put a meter in? It's required under town bylaws.
No information was given to me. When I pay a service to a builder, I would assume that they do everything I do my job, and I applied for, the suite, the building permit, all these things. I give it to my builder, and I'm paying a service to that builder to do his job.
Well, I would suggest to you that you have a responsibility. You're tied to your builder and your plumber.
Okay.
I mean, you keep saying, well, the town should give you a break, waive this. I, as a counselor, part of my job is to safeguard the taxpayers' money. I mean, Cardston isn't a rich place. Our funds that we run this town on are largely funded by taxes. So it's not the town. You always refer to it as the town. I would suggest to you that it's your neighbors, your friends, the people you go to church with that end up having to bail you out as you're requesting.
So, yeah, and I guess to your opinion, and I'll be respectful, and I'll say again, I disagree with that.
My job.
Yep,
My job
and
is to protect the taxpayers. And I'm thinking, as I read through all of this, the minutia of how much and the details and the arithmetic, sure, that can be looked at. But there's a philosophical principle thing here that you, as a homeowner, are required to follow the bylaws of the community. It's your responsibility to know what those are. Certainly, it's the responsibility of your builder and your plumber to know what those are. I would suggest to you that you go back to them, wherever this shakes out with the town of Cardston, and whatever you have to end up paying, if you feel hard done by, go back to them. Don't go back to the citizens of Cardston and expect them to bail you out.
So again, there's a lack of communication there when we're talking about the builder.
Well, I think
turning on
that's
the water.
debatable.
When we're talking about the builder turning on the water, I
But
guess.
the builder is you.
Okay,
No,
Counselor.
you need to.
Counselor Court.
No, he covered, I think the people you need to be talking to is your plumber and your builder. To
Coun-
get some recompense from them as well. I mean, they're obviously the ones that screwed up. The town maybe should have been better communication. I don't know anything about that. I do know that the responsibility is back with your builder. I mean, they didn't do what they're supposed to do. And now the town's gonna be stuck for the bill.
Counselor Burton.
I agree with those comments. As I read in Jill's letter to you, it points out our bylaw, and so I'm not referring to the bylaw, I'm referring to what she wrote about the bylaw, but I'll read it. It says the owner's responsibility to obtain utility service. So not builder, not town employee, not anybody else, owner. The owner of a property shall be responsible, or you've kind of raised the question, who's responsible? And this might answer our question. The owner of a property shall be responsible for making application to the appropriate authority for utility service as soon as a building on the owner's property is occupied or otherwise in use. That seems straightforward to me. And I have a question if I could. So are you suggesting that because there is no utility or no meter, no water meter in place for that first period of time between April, whatever it was, and when it was put in, well, till 12 months ago, that you should get, because you used water and your tenants used water.
Yep.
So you're suggesting that you should have the windfall of free water because there wasn't a meter?
And so, again, my thoughts are is that in any case, talking to my builder and having conversations with,
Well, never mind the
other
builder.
things-
I'm just wondering, what's your thought on that? Are you
well,
of the opinion that you should get free water because there was no meter?
no, but I'm saying that the policy, I'm not gonna be back charged 305% of,
Well, the rate's different.
Whatever,
My
yeah.
question is, do you think you should get free water because there was no meter?
when it's a mistake from the town.
Who,
There's,
what
I
mistake?
believe that the mistake has been given from the town, their communication has not been given. If you talk about any type of
Okay,
builder
then
and say Lethbridge,
if I could ask another
there's-
question,
can I
then.
just finish my statement? When you're talking in building in Lethbridge, they send a town employee to turn on the water. And so I guess my builder, who is from Lethbridge, maybe would assume that someone would come from the town to turn on the water. So I don't know the details of that, but all I know is that I was not aware, I was informed, I tried my hardest.
But
and
my
there we
question is, do you think you should get free water because there is no meter? Regardless of Santa Claus screwed up, doesn't matter who I'm saying, are you of the opinion that you should get free water?
Well, I'll pay for it, but yeah.
So you're just
So-
contesting, because I heard two things. I heard you say that you think the wrong rate was applied. But then later in your presentation, if I heard you correctly, it sounded like you're saying, but in any event, I shouldn't have to pay for any water prior to 12 months ago.
Correct, yeah, because that's,
Do you think you should get free water?
well, that is what the policy says, and so when you get back charged a $4.33 charge per cubic meter, that,
Okay, so
So
you're not questioning the rate on that, you're saying I should get free water.
again, if you wanna go through, somehow figure out how much I owe through usage of water, I don't know how there would be a way to pay for that.
Counselor Brown.
So I think just to back up just a little bit here, because actually you're not the first person that's had to struggle with this. So I think if we backed up right up to the connection, so in the cities or other places, like he said, and he's not wrong, the town, the city comes and turns your actual utilities on. That's a thing. But in Cardston, we have people, plumbers or whoever it is, that are coming in that are not the town, and they're turning it on for us. And so because of that, people are assuming, and I'm not speaking for you, I'm just a general, what I'm seeing is that people are assuming my water's on, it's good to go. They don't, like, the average person isn't going to know what a water meter is. I'm sorry, they're just not going to. But some people look at their bill and itemize how many units to that. That's not the majority of us. But I think the mistake is earlier on. And it is unfortunate that you didn't know. And then once you did find out, you tried to rectify it. I hear you. Obviously, people are getting a little heated about this, and that's fair. But I think we have a problem further ahead in between the builder building the house and the utilities getting turned on. The utilities shouldn't be getting turned on unless we have a water meter, period. It just shouldn't happen, but somehow it's happening. That to me is a problem.
Anybody else? Okay, Brandon, thanks for coming. We don't really make decisions on our first meetings of the months, so we'll discuss this at our next meeting,
Okay.
and Jeff will get back to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thanks, Brendan.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to move at 5:30. Daryl's here, yeah. Okay. We're gonna.
Let's do that.
Are you okay to hang out just an extra minute or two? Yeah, no problem. Okay, if you're okay with that, Mr. Chairman?
Yep. All right, so we'll have our delegation, Mary Ann's here. You can come on up and speak to us about what's going on, and we'll go from there.
I was late. Apologize. So I'm just asking for a waiver of a charge for, it says, for removing, I guess it's supposed to be grass on my property. I wasn't aware that there was a note, mainly because I guess the address on it was in Lethbridge. So my daughter, who was living in the place at the time, did not know it was time to, like it was unsightly. That's what the ticket said. The grass was cut. We mowed the lawn probably about a week after when it was cut by the person who was hired. So I was just hoping that you could waive it because I've never had that problem before. I do maintain the grass. We were out of the country for a while, and that's why I wasn't there all the time to see it. So that's just my request.
Okay. Any questions from anyone on the? Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Thanks again as well, Marianne. We'll make a decision on our next meeting. We usually don't discuss during this meeting,
Fair enough.
and Jeff will be in touch with you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we will move to our 5:30. Daryl's here from Associated. We're gonna move into a closed session for this delegation. So if I could get a motion for that, Councilor Court.
Make a motion that we move into closed session.
All right, all in favor? Thank you. Closed session. You should stop the meeting. Thank you.
Hanging on till the bitter end.
Do you need? No, we don't need a break.
Sorry.
Are we doing dinner?
I think he's doing a break. It's a break.
I guess we're taking a break.
What's this?
He said he had to go pee, I think.
We're taking a 2-minute break.
Yeah.
Are we?
At our seats, just till Jeff sits down.
Well, Court's gone, so.
All right, so our last
I
delegation.
do feed them. I do feed them.
We're glad to have them.
Our last delegation is here. Sam Hudson, if you want to come up to the lectern here and give us a presentation. Is it on screen or is he just talking to us?
I'm just talking to you.
They have everything you sent me.
So he's going to be giving us a
Yes.
presentation on some stuff and an ask, I think, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. All right. I made this big long speech. It's not too long. Don't worry. Don't worry. We'll be done before dinner, I hope. But I was gonna memorize it, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna read it to you. So good evening. I know a few of you, not all of you. I'm here to request the town's aid in putting on an event that I think could make a big impact on our community. I love Cardston. I grew up in McGrath, but I was born in BC. And we moved here when I was 3 years old. We moved to McGrath, and for the longest time, I just wanted to go back to BC. Then I did for one summer. And then after that summer, when I came back home, I realized that Southern Alberta, it's like the place to be. I love it so much. I love the community. I love the peace, the quiet. I love living in a place that's rich with my heritage, with my religion, with my ancestors. All of that being said, however, Cardston has its difficulties. It's hard to live in the middle of nowhere. It's hard to live in a place where you have to travel an hour to do most exciting things. It's hard as a young adult to avoid feeling of loneliness when most people your age have left town for something more exciting. I love Cardston, but I know of a lot of people who spend their lives waiting for the day that they can finally leave it. Why is this? Because they spend all of their energy complaining about the problem, wishing for something better, but not believing that they can do anything about it. This town is underwhelming because we have a surplus of critics and not enough people who actually believe that they can make a difference. I
They
trust
applaud you.
I trust that everyone in this room is an exception to that rule. Everyone here is here because they want to strengthen the town. They're here because They are willing to take action rather than simply to wish. I too want to help. I want to bring this community closer together. I want everyone who lives in this town to feel compelled to acknowledge that they're blessed to be here. There's a lot of cool things we've got here, such as the Carriage House Theater, the museum, and the temple. We have the Festival of Lights, we have the Remington Easter celebration, and our Canada Day activities. We have lots of things. These things draw people from all over Southern Alberta, and I want to add to them. I want to fill this town with excitement, and I want to start with the Fall Festival. What does this look like? We close down Main Street for a day and decorate it with fairy lights and pennant banners hanging from the street lamps. We set up a farmer's market going up and down the road with vendors selling trinkets, treats, and produce. We have fiddlers standing at the street corners, playing festive music. We have scarecrows walking around putting fall crowns on people's heads. We organize autumnal games and activities such as potato sack racing, bobbing for apples, caramel apple dipping, and face painting. We have a fundraising dinner here at the Civic Center. We invite people to bring the apples from their trees and juice them together as a community, providing fresh apple cider for everyone. We have a pie eating contest in the intersection between 3rd Ave and Main Street, and then a barn dance that night in the same intersection. In doing this, I believe that we would be taking a big step towards making Cardston a center of excitement. We would promote business, community, and open the door for more celebrations. I would like to keep adding to these festivals and eventually to have one for each season. What I ask of the town is support in funding the event with $4,000, as well as reaching out to the RCMP for permission to close 2 blocks of Main Street for the event. A few months ago, I put on an outdoor musical in McGrath with very limited funding. We relied on faith and the generosity of people, and we broke even. The event was phenomenal, and it was something new. People here long for novelty, and we can bring it to them. I have a strong committee behind me, and I'm confident that working with them and you, we will be able to make something incredible. Thank you.
Sam, thank you for presenting this idea, and I think it's quite a cool idea if it were to ever happen. And there are some questions on the table. Councillor Brown, Councillor Burton, Mayor, Councillor Jensen. We'll go around here. So Councillor Brown first.
Yes.
First of all, thank you. I love the excitement of all of this. It's fantastic. I'm all about economic growth and development, and I'm loving all of these things. In regards to the shutting down of our Main Street, I don't know that you're aware, our Main Street is a main highway. So that's provincial. That's not us. That's not the RCMP to shut it down.
Okay.
That's much bigger, which is why we don't have our beautiful Christmas tree on the Main Street that we used to have. Because it is a main thoroughfare, shutting it down. Now that said, all of the things you were just talking about, we could go a block over either way and be fantastic. My question to you then in regards to the funding, so your ask is $4,050 is what I'm seeing.
Well, that's just an estimation of the price. 4,000 is.
So I guess my question is, are we your first hit up? Have you hit anybody else up yet?
You are my first.
Okay. The reason I say this is, so we get excited when these things come forward, and Councillor Jensen, I'm going to use you. So Councillor Jensen brought up a fantastic idea because she's on FCSS, and she said, FCSS, family, community, all the things in a basket, which is essentially what this is, has funding, and they're through the town. So that could be, and that was Councillor Jensen's idea, that could be a pocket of money rather than hitting the town up because we already put money into FCSS. That could be you reaching out to the board ASAP and getting on their agenda for their very next meeting and requesting it, because it's sounding like you'd like to get this going here pretty quick. But that would be a more fitting committee
Yeah.
for you to go to, I would think. But I'm happy to help with this, whatever's needed. I love your idea. I'm just thinking your $4,000 might come from FCSS a little more fitting than the town.
Awesome, thank you.
Just a thought.
Counselor Burton.
So Sam, not surprisingly, your presentation was outstanding. Good work.
Thank you.
Just along those same lines, one of your committee members, at least one is from the county. The county benefits equally from these types of things. That might be another place that you would look for funding. My only other comment is that even if we don't, thinking that you have a fantastic idea is one thing, and then taxing people to make it work is another thing, right?
Yeah.
I'm not saying we will or we won't. I'm just saying that if we don't,
Yeah.
that's where it broke down. Your ideas are phenomenal. Your initiative is wonderful. Your crew is great. So just keep that in mind that we don't have money. We only have their money.
Yeah.
Right.
Mayor.
Yeah, to carry on with that, Sam, thank you for your presentation. Yes, you have energy galore and you have a vision, which is wonderful. So thank you for trying to bring unity to our town through recreation activity. That is great. But maybe something that eludes you is how council works, to go back with Council Burton talk regarding taxes. We have budget starting in October,
Yes,
and then it then applies to the next year.
yes.
So that is an idea that would be more feasible if you cannot get money through FCSS or through the county or together possibly, is something that you should kind of present now for the further budget that the next council will deal with in a month's time.
Okay,
And I would say then keep those fantastic ideas, grow the idea, kind of manipulate them a little bit, kind of cost them, present a budget where you can think that $4,000 might cover, and then present that as a request for a funding event.
okay.
So I would think this year we have for donations intake, we have 2 intakes, and you don't fit no in one nor in the other. Therefore, it's difficult to come up with money that we don't have.
Yes,
So therefore, Councillor Brown idea, try to see if there's another door where you can get something. But you need to come with something a little bit more detailed
yes.
as to what is your plan of action? What does it look like?
That's good to know. Thank you.
But the idea you have presented as the overhaul, now go a little bit more into detail and present that to the next meeting,
Okay, thank you.
okay?
Counselor Jensen.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure. In one place you say this fall, and in another place you say 2026. So
Did I
I'm
say
not
this
sure if
fall?
it was this fall or 2026.
2026 is
Okay, all
the,
right,
Oh, in a
because it
year.
was
Okay.
confusing to
Yeah.
us.
Okay.
at first,
Okay.
I was going to do this
This
fall.
year, okay, all right.
But then I
Okay,
decided
so
after
that
speaking with
clarifies.
Jeff that probably.
With-
Clarifies.
And with
Okay.
that, again, FCSS puts on a program every fall called Community Awareness Night. And they're always looking for something for children to do. And I'm wondering if you might be better off pairing with them for your fall festival, because everything would already be set up and advertised and everything, and it would already be there and ready for you to go. You just enact your program, and I think it would be a lot easier and slicker, and it's right here in the Civic Center, and it might work better for you, but just something to think about.
It's FC.
FCSS.
What does that stand for?
Family.
Community
Family and Community Support Services.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you phone the town office and ask for the FCSS director, I don't know who it is anymore, but just ask for whoever that person is and they can connect you to
But I-
whoever it is.
I
Counselor
can tell
Brown,
you, they're
Mayor.
going to meet.
Counselor Brown,
sorry.
sorry.
The thing also,
No,
So I
just
think
was
you-
going to give him the information.
Yep.
so I think pitching to council, fantastic. The mayor and a few of us, we really love a good budget, and you nailed it. The only other thing we really love to see is that you've gone elsewhere and you've got some money yourself.
Mhm.
Because that means you're in the game
Yeah.
with us,
Yeah.
not just coming to the, because, you know, you're a prime example of, you know, somebody coming to the town with fantastic ideas and then asking the town to
Yeah.
now help, right? But if you came to the town and said, look, my committee over the last, whatever, 6 months has made this much money, we've got this much from FCSS and this much from the county, all of a sudden you're a lot better looking to us.
Yes.
That's kind of what we look for typically. And but the key is FCSS, I think, because Counselor Jensen, she nailed it when she said in regards to whether it's the community awareness night, but they also do volunteer appreciation. If they could marry the two together into a fun little fabulous evening, I think it would be a great fit. So FCSS.
The
Yes.
Chamber of Commerce.
And yes, Chamber of Commerce, there's another ask. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I just wanted to give you some information. FCSS meet this month on next Tuesday, but next Wednesday,
Okay, awesome, thank you.
7 o'clock.
Counselor Jensen.
Oh, another source of income that you can look into, Sam, is the Lions Club. Go down and talk to Zenith Gaynor in her shop. Because they have a budget and it's towards the end of the years.
Yeah.
They might be looking to unload some money.
Sorry,
I don't
that was
know.
Who? That was who?
The Lions.
Lions
Zenith
Club.
Gaynor, she
The
works
Lions
at
Club.
Imagination.
Unlimited.
Awesome, thank you.
Sorry, Imagination Unlimited. Zenith Gaynor, she's their president.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, Sam, thanks again. So I think it's a fantastic idea. I think you'll run into an issue with the highway. The transportation thing might be a problem that could be worked out.
Mhm.
But anywhere else, I think it's a fantastic idea.
And so a question on that.
Oh.
So I know that McGrath with Hometown Christmas, that they closed down their main street. Is that not, because I know that the semis all drive through there. Is that not a highway?
Yes, it is.
Highway
It
61.
is? So it is possible. Oh, they don't ask.
They just
Oh,
do it. They just do it.
I understand.
I mean, I don't know that,
Yeah.
but
And my guess is, I mean, I'm not gonna say our main street's busier, but it probably is busier.
100%.
Anyway, it's Mayor.
So just to add to the idea of using Main Street, what you would need to do in order to even fathom that that's possible, you need to have all the businesses on your side. Because if you don't have them on your
Yes.
side, it's a no-go.
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay.
Also by reaching out, as Councilor Burton said, to the chamber and going and speaking to them and pitching it for next year, then their buy-in is a lot better then, because they do fundraisers themselves and maybe you get the businesses on your side.
That's
Again,
why they're there.
yeah, right? Like that's the key. Sorry, we're giving you all sorts of ideas.
Thank you.
but-
Nope.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sam. We'll probably discuss it a little bit at our next meeting, and Jeff will be in touch with you on good first step, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much.
You
Thank you.
keep your enthusiasm.
Will we keep going? We'll hop into our favorite
Donation.
bylaw and policy, the donation policy. Joshua,
You
can we have
love
this for the
that
next
one.
5
there
meetings,
yet?
please?
You love that one.
And we will approve it on our last meeting.
Is it?
Is it? I think someone's found
Burton,
something.
Burton, is it?
The record we're trying to break.
This is it. Okay, council, I really appreciate all of your feedback on this. I think this draft has captured what was mentioned last time. So I'll just touch on them really quickly. So
mostly has to do with section 3. And that is guideline, no.
Eligibility.
So in 3.1b,
Mhm.
we've added that clarification that the donation is available to anyone who's not receiving other town financial support at the same time.
That's good.
F in the same subsection. No,
And two.
sorry,
It's 3-2F.
3.2F, that's where I'm going.
Get on up there, Mayor.
I'm sorry.
So this is that reporting requirement. So at the conclusion of the event, provide a concise report to council detailing donation benefits. And then that's also been reflected in eligibility. You're ineligible if you don't submit that.
Perfect.
Clear language in 3.3C. Activities which involve use of any town-owned facility managed by a third-party operator are not going to be funded. So that keeps something like the Agrodome able to make their own decisions. 3.3G, direct reference to capital project proposals. So someone comes in and they want a spray park. There is a funding mechanism for that, but it's a separate system. And then finally, there's a new subsection in procedure. So section 4, the last one, 4.3. Just to clarify, there is a different application process for recurring donations. They don't need to fill out Schedule A. It's just presented to council as part of budget deliberations, and they're free to do it in the way they feel best. But council can require those seeking. So this gentleman wants this every year. You can ask for any of those 4 things, including financial activities or budget.
Councilor Granger?
Do we have an official list, approved list of existing recurring groups?
No, but it's on our list to have that information for you for this next budget. And it would all be collected under
I think
one.
we talked about it when you weren't here.
Yeah.
I had requested that they do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said budget.
Mayor?
We won't
Oh,
be here for that
sorry.
one.
So for 2026 budget, we're looking at changing it so all recurring donations are in one section of the budget, and they're all listed by line item, so you can see all that.
So how does that list get vetted and approved?
You direct budget deliberations
Yeah.
amongst yourselves.
So that'll be the next council in reality, okay?
Mayor?
I am ready to recommend to council to approve this donation policy as given.
I don't know. I think there's something.
Yeah,
Be glad to.
clearly
Be
she
glad
didn't.
to.
Agree.
That's the next meeting.
I agree.
I agree.
Yeah, sure.
I'll find something, but we'll get there.
And
Great.
thank you.
Thank
You've
you,
done
Josh. Yes.
Can
your
you
patience.
vote
Oh,
on
thank
it?
you.
This
all.
meeting, we
wanna-
can do a policy.
right now.
It's a recommendation to,
And approve the recommendation to council.
Yeah.
that's what it
You
is.
don't do it alone.
I mean, he was gonna bring it anyways. I'm just kidding. I like that.
Okay.
Make him
All right.
happy.
All in favor? Thank you.
There,
Thank you,
Joshua,
council.
thank you for your work.
I hope I get to see you use it.
Amen to that.
We'll have it framed on his wall.
The longest.
Yeah.
The next council. Yeah.
All right.
All right, we'll
Okay.
go on to 5C. We'll get through your bylaw here and
Door's
then
closed if that.
the that word.
Remuneration.
Yep.
Remuneration?
Remuneration.
It was kind of brought up last meeting a little bit, just kind of in a little bit of talk, and Jeff can speak on it a little bit first. And
Well, yeah, you just talked casually about wanting to look at this before the election. And so I put it on here to say, how do you want to look at it? Do you just want to do it as a whole group? What kind of information would you like us to gather? And we'll try and have that turned around really quick so that you can make some decisions.
Mayor and then Councilor Burton.
Okay, I looked at it and in listening to other mayors, it really appears that we, in comparison, maybe a little low, a little bit on the low side. But we also have to remember that our tax base is funded by taxpayer like you and I, not by businesses. We cannot compare ourselves to Pincher Creek that is driven by businesses. We have hard time comparing ourselves to Raymond that is so close to Lethbridge and has tax base much higher than us. But I still feel that there is place for improvement in what we have. I do not know what it looks like, and I think if we want to make a wise decision, we should have administration do a little bit of research and comparative research, looking maybe at the tax base, making sure that we don't compare ourselves to those who are fueled by businesses, but more by taxpayers. But regardless, there is a certain amount that is palatable and a certain amount that might not be. So I really would put a recommendation to this council that we let administration do a little bit of research on those remuneration fee. And I wanted that brought now because we will not benefit from it. It's for the next council. And it's very hard for a new council to have to bring an increase of taxes right off the bat. It's not very popular
So
to
no
do
back
that.
pays, what you're saying.
4 years.
15 years.
50
So that's my recommendation, that we let administration do some study on this item.
The mayor exactly said what I was gonna say.
Perfect.
Yep. The only thing I was gonna add, but it's kind of a weird ad, about the, how do I explain this? I don't know how to say it. Allowing council to have some sort of perks with our facilities outside of like the golf
Oh.
course.
Outside of the golf.
Because if I said golf course, you'd be like, oh, it's free. I'm not saying that. I feel like there should be some sort of perks for council members and even town staff, and I don't know what town staff have in terms of perks, of being able, whether it's a discount at our facilities if they were to buy a pass or do a day pass or a membership or a green fee. I just think some sort of perk for our administration, town staff, and council, something, whether it's immediate family, obviously we keep it to immediate family of theirs, and facilities. This is something I've just been thinking about that. As we get paid a little bit to do this job. I did, when I was looking at it, because I was bored one night about 2 months ago, I went and looked at everyone else's around us, and we were quite low compared to others. But and then I just started thinking maybe outside of upping pay, could it be some sort of perk wise in that? That's all I was thinking. Whether it's taking your family to the swimming pool for a day, like something, or to the rink, or a green fee, or something. That's all I was thinking. Just something that maybe the administration could look into, adding to council and even to all the staff. I think would be happy to have that and beneficial of that. So that's my opinion. Councillor Jensen.
Yeah, and I know that I banged the drum a bit on, I don't know what you want to call it, but gameware, or, you know, like we finally got the jackets and the name tags and whatnot. And I think as representatives for the town, it's nice, you know, if you're out and about somewhere, to be wearing a jersey or sweater or something that says the town, so that you're advertising the town. Otherwise, you're just, I don't know, it just makes more sense to me, you know, like when you go to a meeting or wherever, I like to advertise my community. So maybe, I don't know what you'd call it, like gameware or clothing or whatever.
I'd really like the Vulcan Star Trek.
I was sorry before
I'll sit at the next table, thank you.
I was just gonna add, I do know that the town has a corporate at the golf course that staff members are able to use. I forgot to mention that. So that's kind of in place there, but just something for the council and other staff. Mayor, Councillor Burton and Mayor.
So, and I appreciate Councillor Jensen's comments. I think there's something to that. The Vulcan guys maybe take it a little far, but
Yeah.
if I could very gently
And of
offer
the years.
a different perspective on that. So when we had jackets last time, I didn't take one because I thought, you know, if somebody looks at it, they say, you know, my taxes bought him a jacket. That was my concern.
Mhm.
So just for whatever it's worth, it's a different perspective on that thing.
Mayor.
So there is something else also that could be looked at. I know that the county, for example, has the use of their cell phone. That is
Oh, I'm not sure.
part of their package there. Have a look a little bit.
School
They're
board gets their
also-
cell phones.
Well, have a look. The county has something, or they're part of the,
The county gives everybody a
pa-
cell phone, but then they just have two, like they don't get rid of their other one, it's.
But the
Okay.
school board
Redundant.
but they're also part of the plan, of the health plan or some kind of something. It will be interesting to not only look at what the base is, but what other perks they have with it, because the perks might tell the story more than the base, right?
Counselor Granger.
When I first got elected, and I didn't actually research what the remuneration was. And when I saw it, I thought, well, that's the lowest I've ever seen anywhere in my working life. But I also said to myself, I'm not doing this for the money, because the money isn't there. However, there is an argument, but I don't know that we'd ever get there because we probably couldn't afford it. But if you had a higher remuneration, would that yield, better candidates or attract candidates? But I think we're so low that we're never gonna get there.
You know something,
Might
looking
attract
at
worse
what's
candidates, to be
around the
honest.
table, I don't think any of us were motivated by the money.
No,
Not deterred
Clearly
by the
not.
money.
When I ran in 2007, I didn't even know we got paid.
yeah.
Next
Well,
thing, oh, we
it
get
was the
more?
same
Counselor
story with me.
Benson, please.
So going back to my comment and then Councillor Burton's comment, and I understand what he's saying, and to some degree, I agree with it. But we just had Mr. Curl here with CHS, I think he is, jersey on.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's paid through the school division or the high school, or if they buy those themselves. But I personally would be happy to pay for my own jacket or hoodie or whatever, just so that I can wear it about and advertise the community so that people can come up and say, oh, you're from Cardston. I've heard that. Otherwise, they don't know who I am and don't know to ask me or talk to me about anything.
Okay.
Counselor
And
Brown.
so I'm willing to pay for it, but I can't do it. I can't put a town logo. I can't just go down and say, hey, put a town logo on a jersey for me. I can't do that.
Counselor Brown.
So I guess my question to Jeff is, have you heard enough? Do you have enough information?
I just had one question. If, when you look at your fee structure, you're paid on a base rate annually, and then so much per meeting. Okay, so is there any strong feelings whether or not it's the base rate that needs to move or your meeting rate? So for example, if we have let's say we have a 3-hour meeting tonight, you're roughly, for the time you're at the meeting, getting paid about $80 an hour, but it doesn't consider any of the preparation. Right? So
Right.
you're probably down in the 30s now, right? By the time you go through all the preparation.
Yeah, and the phone calls and.
Yeah,
whatever.
right. It's not taking into account that you counselors are getting about $4,000 a year annually as a base, the mayor about $5,400.
Yeah.
The question is, do we want to look at, do you have a strong preference whether we're looking at the base rate to come up, which is simply for being a counselor, here's additional compensation, or it's meeting based?
Pers-
I was just gonna say, I'm personally on the meeting-based thing. For me, kind of what Counselor Granger was saying, if we wanted to up prices, would it attract better candidates? In my opinion, it might attract worse candidates because they're just saying,
Looking for a
here's
pay
just an
job.
easy pay
Yeah.
to not do come do any work.
Easy.
No, you know what I'm saying?
I
Like they
do
just
know.
show.
Well, I wasn't thinking that.
I know you weren't thinking that.
Yeah.
But my opinion is of the meetings.
Okay.
That's just
Yeah, we can look at per diems and we can look at committee meeting pay and all that stuff.
Mayor.
Personally, of course, the mayor, someone called me today and asked me, what is the mayor remuneration? Well, I told them, they laughed, and I said, well, it's maybe laughable, but it's what we get in this town. And I think that might need to be looked at. I was thinking more in a 7,000 rather than a 5. But for the counselor, I was thinking to up the base a little bit, but to also look at the meeting per hour, because that also, in my opinion, needed to go up.
Agree.
So I think in all category, it should go up.
Counselor Court, and then we'll.
And having
go-
traveled a lot with Alberta Southwest, I'd suggest any trip outside further than say McGrath is a half a day.
Oh,
If you're going to
for
Lethbridge or Claresholm or,
For
so I'm,
sure.
there I am looking at the clock, did I get in with 4 hours or is it 3.5 hours? I think if you're going that far, it's a half day.
All right, Counselor Burton, and then we'll adjourn for break here. Well, not
So-
adjourn.
If we could do this really quickly, because I think it would be nice if we could have it decided. People are gonna start, 4 of us have said unequivocally, we're not coming back.
Well,
There's
the
some-
wage is high enough.
There's some comfort in
Wait.
that, right? That
Yeah.
we have enough to pass this without you three, if you were to choose to. And so there's some comfort in that. And so I think if we were to do this really quickly, even before people put their name in and things like that, you
Yeah,
know,
I think by the end of the month, we should be.
or even just as fast as we can, I guess is my point.
Okay. Can I get a motion to go for a 20-minute break?
Break for
Yeah.
20 minutes.
All in favor? All right.
to reconvene.
All in favor? Sounds, oh, should wear my hat at the deputy. That's good. I mean, I could, I guess. Okay, we're gonna move on to other business. 6A, Jeff.
Yeah, you don't have any background on this because I just got it a couple hours before the meeting. I'm trying to find an arborist right now as a chore. You had a presentation concerning trees at the one of the properties of Schaefer Investments, and wanted to know if the town would be able to do something to relieve them of what they perceive as to be a challenge with debris and issues on the roof. So as council's instruction, we had an arborist go look at the trees, give an opinion on things that could be done, and also give some costs on, if council chose, what it would cost to remove them. So the arborist looked at them. They are generally healthy. He said he could certainly trim them way up over the building so that it wasn't interfering with any rooftop units, HVAC units, that type of thing, so there was nothing getting in them. Not to say that needles aren't gonna fall and pine cones aren't gonna fall, but get them up and out of the way of that stuff. So that would be just under $1,200 to be able to trim. There's the ones along that north side are big dang trees. If you go down there, I was actually shocked. I just took them for granted and walked by them all the time, but huge trees. But removal of the north 4 would be just over 4,000. And so I just wanted to give you that information as you consider what, if any, action you're not, we can have some discussion in a closed session about legal obligations or legal ramifications. But and so I would avoid that in the open session tonight. But just some thoughts on that.
Councilor Granger, Councilor Court.
So the big trees on the north side, they're right next to the card home.
Yeah.
Is there any risk of big limbs falling off or the trees falling on the card home that would destroy the card home?
I mean, we got even out front along Main Street on the south side, and those are just huge. And there's always that risk. We saw that at the cemetery a few years ago.
Yeah.
Where we had really mature spruce trees that sporadically the wind just took them over, roots
Not
and
gonna
all.
get the wind downtown.
Yeah, you have some protection from buildings, absolutely. But yeah, they've become big trees over the years for sure. So I would suggest that risk always exists, Councillor.
Yeah.
I don't have a gauge as to how imminent it is, though.
Well, I mean, if we're worried about that, maybe we should take them out for $4,000 and then the risk is gone. But because the cart home is irreplaceable, right?
Councilor Court,
I was
Mayor.
just gonna add with the front trees, one of them's silting pretty good already.
Yeah.
That's the one that worries me more than any of those, so. Yeah, who knows?
Mayor.
I'm thinking when you say trimming, you're talking about the trees that is on the south side.
North side.
North side.
There's 4 along that building, so they're not along the card home. They're right along the edge of that.
Where the pizza place
the
is.
pizza building.
Yeah.
And yeah, there are 4 along the north is what he's referring to.
And there's 2 on the south side that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the 2 on the south
Wouldn't
side,
it be
do we
east and
need
west?
No, if I'm
South.
looking at it,
Front and back.
the trees
you're
that we put
looking at it.
lighting on?
Oh, okay.
I'm looking at it from the back.
No,
So if
I'm
in
looking,
the,
and
if I'm in the
I'm,
back alley,
Yeah.
which is how I'd be facing
North
right
side.
now.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
face north, that are the
4 on
trees
the
there.
north.
Right,
Gotcha.
but
Okay.
what about the tree that is a tree or Christmas tree? What about this one?
That's what we were just asking about. It's got a pretty good lean on it.
Yeah, it's showing some age.
So I'm wondering, is it time for this one to be trimmed at least? And so that it would take, some of that heaviness out of the top of the tree.
I would think so.
I mean, we had all tree trims on our house. It kind of broke my heart to see the apex gone, but
The hail trim my trees.
it's definitely a less risky because the wind doesn't really catch them anymore in the same way, and they need to have some limbs removed to create more passage for the air.
There was some discussion, you were talking about the north side, of the roots getting underneath the cart home and causing problems. So that was discussed years ago, so.
And that's still.
Councilor Brown.
Personally, I would prefer a good trimming to everything and a reevaluation to see, rather than just cutting and pulling and doing. I think If the arborist is looking at it, that's what they do. And if they say, you know what, that one's got to come down, then obviously we listen to them. But I think overall, if the arborist thinks trimming would help with the pizza place, with the roof, and with the trimming of the Christmas tree, and then I think we start with the trimming.
Yeah.
That would
Personally,
be,
I would prefer to go
that would be the
route.
direction I would want to go.
Okay. Anyone else have any objection to that? Okay. We will move on to 6B, Francophone School.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch to unpack here, Council. I wanted to get you up to speed on where we are. There's a lot of moving parts here. So allow me to go back in time just a little bit. And I just want to mention Mayor Cronin and I met with 2 members of the Franklin School Board about this 2 weeks ago, maybe, Mayor?
Yeah.
Something like that. Good meeting, great people, certainly want to work with us. But one of the things that, let me just open this up on mine, sorry, is we've been looking at how we can subdivide the area and how can we potentially utilize the utility that we're running for the school, also to connect up other lots that we might be able to recoup some of our costs. And this does become a bit of a question of risk that council would like to take on. And what I mean is that right now we're sitting at, $500,000 to accommodate this school. And we're not obligated to do it. We don't have a JUPA in place at this point in time that's requiring us to do it. But at the same time, these are good things in a community that if we can accommodate to some level of reasonableness, we should look at it. So one of the things that came up when the mayor and I met with their trustees was, we have this price tag to get these utilities there, but there can be a lot of benefiting land from those same utilities, and that's right. I agree with them. That's a good argument. We don't have to attribute that all. The challenge is in many cases, is that this extension is driven solely by this school. Without that school going there, we're not moving these utilities. We're not extending them, but we have the opportunity to potentially caveat lands around it and then also to sell land that it can also benefit. To complicate it a little bit more, and I put this in the package just to tell you this story. We did start on the subdivision just for the school area, and it was declined because ORSC said that there's record of a historic landfill on the site, and you can't have a school within 300 meters of a historic landfill. So we went up there with machinery and dug 3 24-foot deep holes in the key areas. They said there was a landfill and found nothing but virgin soil. And then they defined a little bit later that, well, actually, it might have been a pesticide, contaminated site due to pesticide, but could provide no evidence for that.
Who's selling this? They?
Of Alberta Environment.
Oh,
the
Alberta,
environment.
those great guys at Alberta Environment, yeah.
So they had commented on the subdivision application. So we are working with them right now, working with ORSC. So far, we've seen no evidence of any type of prohibited use of the land, and we're working to get that done. And again, I just bring that up as another chapter in this very interesting saga. So one of the things that's happening, and Mayor, I haven't had a chance to talk to you about this yet because I found out this afternoon, is I did get a meeting time with the MLA for next week. So we had agreed with the Franco Sud School Board trustees that we would jointly meet with the MLA. There's a gap right now, and I hope I can explain this properly. About 3 years ago, the province came out and said we want everyone to have joint use planning agreements with the school divisions in their area, and we want them done by June of 2026. Fine. So we commenced with the Westwind, and then that's when the Franco Sud started operating within our jurisdiction. So we also need to do it with them, but we currently have not completed the JUPA with them. Then in May of this year, Bill, maybe don't hold me to May, but it was sometime around there, Bill 51 came out that said, you know what, actually going forward, all schools land is going to be owned by Alberta Infrastructure. So municipalities are going to transfer that to Alberta Infrastructure. Whereas under the JUPA scenario, the town would retain ownership of the land as a school reserve. So that's how they wanted to do it. And then they changed that this year, saying we're going to do that, but only for schools approved in 2025 budgets and beyond. This Francophone school was approved in the 2024 budget. So it is under the JUPA scenario where we need to create a JUPA and then we decide how much we're going to do for each other. So we're currently really just operating in good faith. We have no agreement requiring us to accommodate them at all, but I don't see why we wouldn't move this forward in good faith to some degree. But the numbers are getting kind of scary. And one of the things that came up when we met with the school board was I had asked them to contact the province about what could the province contribute for site preparation, site costing, all that. And the email we got back was nothing. That's the responsibility of the municipality, which is, well, let me be clear. The email said we do not have any money in that envelope. You have to talk to the municipality. Well, we're not obligated to do that either. But the province has now basically taken a position of we're not funding any schools for site preparation or site, well, I should say site servicing or site preparation, because we were a little bit taken aback that the expectation of the province is almost that we will get the site prepared, not just off-site and service to the property, but that we will do grading, we will do elevations, we will do storm drainage, we will do all that. So much as it will make sure the substrate is gravel where it's a parking lot and topsoil where it's grass. And I just said, okay, that scope is rapidly expanding. And those costs can get out of hand in a hurry. It's very different than just getting services to the property.
And this is the bureaucrats telling you this?
Well, it was, I don't want to get the department wrong. They inquired for, I'll say Alberta Education. I'm probably don't have the right name of whatever it is today, but that's the response I got back is no, when we approved your school, we did not approve anything for site.
Councillor Court, what do you know about the Raymond High School and who prepared that site there?
So I don't know about exact site prep, but I do know Raymond is $2 million into accommodating that school.
Yeah.
And they've chosen to do that. I've had that conversation with Curtis. They were not obliged to do it. They chose to do it for strategic land purchasing and swap reasons that are unknown to me.
Councillor Granger.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've been thinking about this for a while, and it's a good time to ask the question. So, we were looking at that site to the north, north of the truck fill point.
Of the water fill station?
The farmer's land.
Yeah.
And it's got servicing into it, and he wouldn't sell it to us. If we're looking at, right now, a minimum of $500,000 or more,
should we buy that?
Should we not go back to him and, everything's for sale for the right price.
Yeah, so we're on a fine line of closed session or not, but I appreciate where you're coming at, is that the offer a little different now, potentially?
Yeah, the situation's different.
Yeah.
Is that worth looking at again?
Okay, fair enough, and we may want to conclude that in a closed session, but I just wanted to get you up to speed that one of the other challenges we have is we do have an area structure plan for that area. And everything we're proposing here from a subdivision point of view doesn't fit the area structure plan. In fact, the soccer field, when it was put in, doesn't fit the area structure plan. It's right in the middle of where roads were going to go. And so I'm wondering if we want to, we've already said we're going to have a look at the west area structure plan.
I have a comment on that, but I think it'd be better in closed session.
Okay. So the question is, do we also maybe need to be looking at the east area structure plan? Because even there's currently a road that goes right through the soccer fields in the current structure plan, which I guess could still be done. Soccer parks aren't particularly expensive to move, but I'm not sure why we would want to do that. No, I still really like the idea of, if we're going to be able to accommodate Franco Sud, that they are next to that green space and we can have a joint use agreement. That just makes all kinds of sense to me. And so I still want to see if we can keep them in really close proximity, which is why I still like the site. But I really just wanted to kind of give you an update that we're struggling with how we proceed with this. The costs are getting high. So we are meeting, it's Mayor, I'll see if your schedule is available. If not, I'll talk to you, Councillor Kenley, as the deputy. I don't remember right now. I want to say it's next Tuesday, but I'll talk to you.
Next Tuesday is okay.
So we have a meeting with the MLA to talk about kind of this funding gap that's been created by the implementation of the JUPA requirement, and then now the Bill 51 requirement on infrastructure taking ownership.
Good.
So that's, again, as far as acquisition of other lands, as far as, some of those other things, we can talk about that in a closed session. are you guys just philosophically, let's put the area structure plan aside for a minute. Are you philosophically on side with this idea that we try and develop other lots like commercial or industrial lots next to it to recoup our cost of servicing? Like, is that okay and acceptable to you?
Councillor Granger.
In principle, it makes sense, but reality bites that it may take you a long, long time to recoup
right.
those funds.
And that's the
So
risk
you
piece.
invest it,
Yeah.
and then because this is not a huge growth area, you might be waiting a
Yeah.
long time to get your money back.
Yeah.
Councillor Burton.
So I agree. In principle, yes, but as part of what you'd look at in area structure plan, right, is you'd look at, you say, okay, what is the demand? What naturally fits here? What could share utilities? It's a little bit chicken and egg, you know, like, but again, I'd rather discuss that in a closed session for me.
So there is another question I have, maybe all related to all that. The county was willing to help us, but unless we're able to present them with something, it'll be difficult to know how much they're willing to help us with. So in other words, I'm wondering if the RIV should be part of that meeting with the MLA. If we could debrief him a little bit, and it might give them an understanding what's happening here. I just thinking that way, thinking aloud. I don't know if it's worth trying that or not. But it would need to be debriefed as to where we at and where the roadblock is right now for us.
One of the things that came up at our meeting, and I felt that they were appropriate in this, was saying that, well, I already mentioned this, sorry, I'm being repetitive here, but the question is do we look at this property and say, is it appropriate to allocate all these costs to this property? Because that's a big number.
I know.
Or do we say, well, really, they shouldn't have to pay for, they're not paying for any of it, but we shouldn't be allocating, incremental costs to service future developments, for example. It's not appropriate to allocate those costs to this site. That's a reasonable argument, by the way. So they might need a 4-inch sewer line, but we're going to put a 10 in because it's going to service things way, way up the road in a long period of time. Should we be allocating those incremental costs to this project? And I think that's a valid discussion to have. That goes for water, sewer, all of those. And so we're just trying to work through that a little bit administratively to say, well, but again, this is the catalyst for the need for the extension. We would spend $0 if they weren't looking for a site.
Right.
So we kind of have to allocate a lot of that to them.
Councillor Granger.
You have a good point on the sewer, but the water's the reverse, I think, because the main has to be sized for a higher fire flow for a school. So you build the water main for the worst case scenario, and then it's big enough, it'll service downstream.
Yeah.
So the water side might be reversed.
Yeah, sure, good point.
Okay.
So kick it around. Maybe we take this in closed session next meeting to talk about some of these other things.
I would like to have it as an item.
So I can definitely put that on the next agenda. And I can update you at the time of our meeting with the MLA. I'll reach out to Murray tomorrow about the REIV being involved. And I've been hesitant to go to them with the current numbers we have, because now that potentially on-site costs are on the table, this could balloon that quite a bit. There's a ton of elevation work we have to do. We need earth movers. We need a lot of earth moved to make that work. And so I just don't know what that number is yet. And it's probably scary. And so I just want to get all that pinned down.
Okay.
If you're talking to the county, does it make any sense at all to move it into the county? I think maybe no, because there's nothing to tie into for services. They don't have anything to offer except, I guess they don't really have.
They would have some space probably, but again, that efficiency of not duplicating green space
They want the green space.
has a good benefit.
They want to be near the town.
And they do have something in their envelope.
Yeah.
Their envelope isn't empty.
But why would they want to do that?
Because it's better than doing all the infrastructure in there. Right, the cost of them doing all the infrastructure in the county would far exceed contributing to our infrastructure here.
I do think we have a partner there, Councillor. They have suggested that.
Yeah.
I just want to get our numbers, and after our meeting I had with the mayor, I got really concerned about what is our actual number here now. if the expectation is we're doing on-site costs.
Well, you could be looking at a $2 million
Oh,
number or
can get-
more.
Can't we rebut that expectation though?
So we don't have to, so this is the thing, and it's a
I
little
know.
bit closed session, but we do not have an obligation to do any of this. The question is, how much do we want to help accommodate this in our community? But from a requirement to do it,
No, we don't have any.
the legislation would say something to the effect of we assist to a point, to the point that's reasonable or to the best of our ability. It's, it'll say something like that. And because we have not concluded a JUPA, had we concluded a JUPA that said we will do the following, that's a different monster. But we currently have no agreement between us.
So we as a council could decide that our reasonable obligation ended at the property line.
That's right. And
Right,
then they
guys.
have to work that out with the province.
Sounds like this is further into closed session. We could talk about it next week,
Well, something for you to chew on.
and we can all speak our minds. Okay, moving on to C, the East Area Structure Plan.
So that was really just
Okay.
part of this, is that we need, Councilor Burton wants to speak to this a little bit in closed session, but we need to have some discussion on what does that plan look like? It's about 16 years old now, I believe. So we need to have some, it was one of the first public hearings I attended when I
Was,
started.
yeah, it was at the time of Maxine, so is, yeah, 16 is about right.
Councilor Granger?
So the existing current east plan is in a bylaw, correct?
Well, is it a bylaw?
I think it is.
Yeah,
I've
it
seen
is.
it.
Yeah, it's a bylaw. Yep, that's right.
So it's, you'd have to change that.
Yep.
That's an exercise
Yep.
in of itself too.
Public
Because it's such
hearings,
a
the
large
whole
area.
thing, you bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it was a parcel.
All right,
land.
guys, moving on to 60, the seniors talk.
Yeah, I put a kind of a point by point in your backgrounder. The seniors, as we talked about, are looking to renegotiate their agreement. I've met with them on a couple of points. I wanted to talk about, and again, I don't want to get down to the nitty gritty negotiation in the public portion, but there was a couple of questions that we've just done a new agreement with the Ag Society, which was intended to look a lot like a more standard commercial lease. Of course, there's nuance with our relationship that's different, but this one's been really interesting for me because we have a building that the town owns that currently the agreement says you have it for nothing. You keep all the revenue, but you're responsible for it. We'll do the grounds, we'll mow, we'll irrigate, we do all that, and it's yours. And right now, according to the member of the seniors that's been assigned to this, that isn't sufficient anymore. The town needs to take a more active role in that facility, i.e. being responsible for more things and replacing more things. We are, however, not privy to the revenue that it generates to put that away year over year.
Not right.
So you saw their requests within the and there are some things I will say. Sorry, I'm just scrolling really quickly here. Oh, I had something else. Sorry, I might be missing it, but things like servicing the bus. I'm not sure where my document went here. Sorry about that, council. I had some answers to all that. But I talked to our mechanic and he says, we can do that, but I can't do commercial vehicle inspection. And I'm not sure we want to be warranting, complex work on a commercial vehicle. Now, if it's change the filters and do an oil change when it's quiet in the off season, that's probably fine. But if council's agreeable to us doing that kind of work, we'd like the ability administratively to opt out of certain work. If it's particularly complex, particularly difficult, more suited for someone that specializes in commercial transportation vehicles, that kind of thing. But as far as just basic maintenance and service, Dylan was saying, look, as long as it's in the off season, I'm okay to help. That's probably okay. So they asked if the person who checks boilers and air conditioners can do it on a regular basis. So we have someone that semi-annually goes through this building, the pool, the Tourist Information Center, and we can simply add that, but there's a cost which they are saying they acknowledge and are willing to also pay. So we can have someone look at that, that's fine. Grants, I already steered them towards the South Grove service to help investigate grants. I gave them the information, so that's all fine. What it really comes down to is the request to share the costs on repairs and replacement of items such as doors, windows, boilers, air conditioners. Now, they said that they're part of the building structure. I technically disagree with that definition. Now, you could argue that doors and windows might be part of the structure, but air conditioner and boiler aren't generally considered that, depending on your lease. I got way too deep in types of leases one day, but yeah, generally depending on your lease. This one's interesting because, again, if we had a tenant that was paying us, say, $1,000 a month to lease a facility, and we decided we were going to put half of that aside for future replacements, that's perfectly reasonable and acceptable. We have a tenant that pays us nothing. And so what is our obligation to be setting money aside for future?
Councillor Burton, Mayor.
So Jeff, when I looked quickly through this lease, it seems like it's almost quiet on that point, right? You know, who pays for the big stuff? I think it's really the same issue that we did have, that we recently looked at with the Agridome is
And really, the library has the same issue.
the reality is two things. One, most commercial leases, it's the landlord that carries the big stuff, and they are putting away something for that. And two, I'd be really surprised if the senior center would ever have the funds to touch something. I don't know, but them surprise me. But I would be surprised if, you know, they could replace the roof or a failing wall or like who knows what it is. It's the big stuff. So I think we do ourselves and them a disservice if our leases don't acknowledge that reality. So what the rest of the term should be, who knows? But just that concept and it, as I look through it, I don't even think it deals with it.
Yeah, the only thing it does say, section 7, is the tenant is responsible for building
Yeah.
maintenance and repairs.
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, that's,
And it's a little bit the same thing.
That's all it says.
I was just gonna add that you talk about financials, like I would actually like to see their financials. I don't know if we're allowed to do that, but they do, you gotta think, they rent out that Tanner Center for receptions.
Funerals.
Like they gotta have some sort of funds, cause they don't pay anything, right? There's gotta be some funds sitting in some account somewhere, in my opinion. Mayor and Councillor
Yeah,
Jensen.
well, I had a similar thought. It's very good for a society to ask for money, and I feel I agree with Councillor Burton, up to a certain point, we need to start to be a respectful landlord and try to see how we can help within limits. But I'm also trying to think, the same way as the Agrodome brought us their budget, what would be so wrong from them
absolutely.
to be transparent and acknowledge that if they want to get some money, we need to also have a chance to see what they're making for revenue and not fudge it. Just be honest
That's my
about it.
opinion.
It might be very little, then it'll give us more desire to try to help. But if they have, it might be then, how can we cut the apple in 2 or in 3 in order to be able to help them?
Councillor Jensen.
You know, I'm okay to help them with the things that Jeff has mentioned. I'm okay to, you know, they mentioned that there was a tree growing up into there. I'm okay to take that out. They mentioned that the ants were eating the building, and I know that's true. I know that's true. And I think maybe we better help them out a little bit because I don't want the ants to eat the building away. But I also look at it and I think, okay, this is similar to the library, the building of the library. And the library board is very responsible in, you know, paying for what they can. And so kind of to echo, you know, I'd like to see the senior society try to put forth some
effort.
money to
I
help
know.
themselves and maybe for us to help by backing them up maybe if needed.
Councillor Burton. And then
Further
Jeff.
to the mayor's comments, if you step back far enough for all of these, anything that we talked about, those entities that receive an annual donation from us in one form or another. If you step back far enough, this is the exact same thing.
Yeah,
right?
totally.
It's in a form of a lease, so it's a little more sturdy than just a request from us every year. It's the same concept, and that's why with the Agrodome, the saw-off was, yeah, but you guys, it's a term of your lease, same as now it's a term with our annual donations, we can have you come to the table and lay it on the table and you show us exactly what you've got and can have input into that. So I think in principle, the mayor is exactly right for those reasons. We've done it with donations, we've done it with repeated donations, we've done it with the Agrodome lease. This is now the exception, not the rule.
I agree.
Okay, Jeff?
There's a clause in the Agrodome lease that when I've just thought about how we could, I liked this clause that we did in the Agrodome lease, credit to Councillor Burton, but it says so the town shall be responsible for the maintenance, repair, upkeep, and associated costs of structural components and roof exterior of the Agrodome, provided that the town's financial obligation shall be limited to supplement as necessary the cost of such maintenance, repair, and upkeep after the society has applied for and contributed any funds available from grants or other sources available. And I thought,
Agree.
you know, is there an appetite to amend the lease that we have with the seniors to have that same type of wording to say, look, we'll help. Like if we got to get new windows in there and that's $40,000, well, let's look at that next fiscal. You guys got to apply for some grants or take out of your coffers for some of that.
Personally, I think that is a model. I think the model of the Ag Society is a model that would be a fine model for any society that or organization that is running in the need of help from the town, no matter what it is, be it the library, be it the historical society, whatever that is. I think unless we make them responsible and open and transparent, I don't think we can go anywhere except to fill another request. So we got to stop that and say, yes, we'll work with you. Partnership, that's what we want. We don't want to be, again, dishing money because you don't know how to make ends meet.
Or have a big surprise when they just don't deal with it.
So is there a reasonable appetite, and you'll obviously have the ability to approve this finally too, but are you comfortable if we start to structure the seniors similar to the Ag Society? Obviously the nuances will be different, but where we will partner on the capital related to the structure, leaving everything internal to them, but that we will take an elevated level of responsibility than we have historically on the structure.
And in accounting, just like.
Yes, and the reporting mechanisms to be similar. Is that reasonable for everyone?
To me, that's what we should do. I don't know if there is approval around the table. I see nodding. Thanks. So maybe.
Well, and again, you'll approve a final agreement for sure. I'll bring you some drafts, and as you may have recalled, we did not pass the Ag Society agreement in one meeting. That one took a few.
I was just gonna ask, do we have any other in town that would fall under that? Like some sort of same idea?
The library would be the most similar because we own the building.
The
There's
library
no other, I
is,
don't think.
yeah, the library is struggling with
Tourism hub?
capital expenditure for the same reason. And we need to kind of look at that sooner or later.
The other one most similar, Council, would be the card homes.
Yeah.
So the Historical Society owns the museum, but we own the card home and they operate it. So yeah, we'd have an elevated responsibility with the card home.
Okay. All right, moving
Okay, so
on.
we're comfortable with that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, 5860, the orientation stuff.
I was just looking for, and we don't even need to conclude this today, but obviously with the election coming up, Councillor Kenley and I were talking about this a while ago actually, about there's the formal curriculum orientation, the stuff you're supposed to know, that the province says we have to teach new councils by a certain date. The county and McGrath and I have partnered and we've hired Brownlee to come and do that post-election. So we're going to have the formal MGA required stuff handled, that's fine. But my guess is, and my experience has been, that there's probably a host of other things that aren't going to be taught in the formal curriculum that you would have really liked to have known and been able to go over some orientation and taken more time on. And oftentimes administratively, we assume you know the acronyms and we assume you know all the people at the party and we assume you know all this stuff, and we kind of go through it because there's a lot of work to do and we want to keep the work moving. So I'm just seeking input aside from the legislated curriculum. What are some other things that we want to make sure we prepare when it comes to council orientation? And again, this is something you can tell me over the next month if you'd like, but I'd welcome any thoughts you might have on that topic?
Mayor and Councillor Brown.
I think the idea of doing a list of the most common acronyms, that would be very, very, very useful. Learning to read a budget, not just having a financial, but take the actual budget that we have and go through it. What does it mean? You know, when we receive grants, we never really understand why it is reported as a negative rather than a positive.
Sure.
So why is it
Mine
so,
too, Mayor.
right?
Yeah, sure.
So stuff like that, we don't,
Wait,
we're a
what?
little bit embarrassed to ask because
Yeah.
we don't really want to
Sure.
look like a bunch of dummies. But the truth is, we are dummies when it comes to that because it is municipal accounting and it's very different from the way we do our own. Another thing that I thought of is dealing with media. How do you deal with your Facebook account and all that stuff? How involved do you get as a counselor to the point where you protect yourself, you protect the town, and you don't get into all the ugliness that is there? Because it's very rapidly embroiling and very scary. So, I mean, I know that in every time we have a meeting in Calgary or Edmonton, they say you have to be media savvy. Well, what does it look like really on an everyday work after a council meeting when your phone starts ringing? What does it look like?
Okay.
Councillor
Thank you.
Brown.
Thank you.
Something that I have loved over the last 8 years and have learned a pile from, other than my fellow counselors and administration, is going to Alberta municipalities conferences.
Yeah.
I love going to them because it's not just networking, it's also going to the seminars and learning how to be a counselor, especially that first one that they have right after the election, typically in November. It's worth going because you do find out a lot of the things the mayor has said. They'll have classes on that, and you're learning together as newbies. Or if you've been there before, you're being reminded of whether it's online being wise and, you know, the protocol for this. And because truthfully, in every municipality, protocols are directed by the council. And so a lot of the things is, for us, we've always said the mayor is the one who's going to speak to the public in regards to social media or different things. But in other municipalities, it's not that. Other municipalities, they can have counselors that beak off occasionally too, right? I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying I love Alberta municipalities. That first one, especially right after the election, is fantastic.
In other words, you want to protect the professional development envelope for every counselor.
I agree. I think if counselors, there are some counselors that haven't had the benefit of going, and I just think it's worth it. It's hard to make the time to go to, 100%, but as a counselor, that's where I've done the majority of my learning, is at those.
Councillor Burton.
I would suggest a review of the issue of being on committees and the different types of committees. So there's the scenario where you're not appointed by council, but you're on some other entity that bumps into council, where you are appointed to a committee and it's not a commission, where you are appointed to a committee and it is a commission, has its own bylaws.
Sure.
All of those nuances and conflicts and different hats, I think that would be a good one to do.
Thank you.
I was just trying to think of the list that we talked about today, even like just there's things like I just was mentioning. It'd be nice. It would have been nice to get together, even just for an hour or two, just to discuss little things like how a meeting runs, like who's talking, what a deputy mayor. I didn't even know what a deputy mayor was when we started, and all of a sudden I find out to do it for 10 months. Just stuff like that, or what are committees that I have obligations to? You know, what is a motion? What's a recommendation? What is this? Why can't I go to third reading? Like just things like that. Like what is a reading? Simple terms, but honestly, just 1 or 2 hours of this is what to expect, just basics, and then you can jump right into it that first meeting instead of hanging out for 2 months. Councillor Jensen.
Councillor.
Yeah, along with that, and I've said this before, you know, it took me a while to figure out all of the abbreviations for everything.
Sure.
And the other thing that I was thinking was when I first came on, it was like an overload. And it would have been nice to have had a, you know how you do your background with just a little blip or something? It would have been nice back 4 years ago to have a backgrounder on the things that we're working on, like the Main Street revitalization, the sewage treatment plant, because some
Big
of those new
project.
counselors might not even know what we're working on.
Yeah,
And
I
it'd be
like
nice
that.
to have just not a long thing, but just a little blip, so that they go, oh, okay.
Okay,
We don't have to talk about Main Street.
yeah.
Councillor Granger.
Yeah, just my thought, I agree with everything that everybody said. More knowledge and more training type opportunities are valuable. Like, for example, I had no idea the amount of time I was gonna end up spending on committees. And I think, I haven't
Right?
actually done this, but I think I spend more time
Yep.
in total on committees
Absolutely.
than the council stuff. And I was not ready for that mentally. Still I'm not. But it's a fact, right?
Yeah,
And
Fair
it's a
enough,
big
yeah.
surprise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay,
anyway,
thank you,
it's,
Council.
it's sometimes overwhelming, Counselor.
I was just, oh, sorry, did someone else have something?
I had something, but it.
I was just gonna add I don't remember what it was when we did our first year where we all got together.
Oh,
You guys were at Muni's, but I was here.
Yeah,
Had a meeting.
Planning session.
Yeah, I think that's very important to do.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's what you guys normally do,
Yeah.
but okay.
I want to bounce something off on that actually to get your input now. A lot of my colleagues and I were talking recently about strategic planning sessions, and what a lot are starting to do, and this is coming from the consulting industry, is saying, don't jump into those 2 weeks into the term. Like,
Yeah,
let everybody
take your
go through
time.
some meetings and understand. So Councillor Burton comes on council and he's got his 2 things that he's got to get done, and that's what he's focused on. And then he finds out, oh wait, I have to deal with 100 other things too.
yeah.
And then have your strategic planning session. They were saying it just gives everybody a little more breadth of context to say, oh yeah, it's not just about this.
Yeah.
And I've realized over the last 3 or 4 meetings, I've also got to consider this entire laundry list. And then once everyone's been able to touch on that, like they're saying, a lot of guys are saying and gals are saying, if you have an October election, you may not do a strat planning session until January.
Just, yeah.
Agreed.
And let everybody just deal with a bunch of the trailing business from the previous council and go through a budget and then
Get some perspective.
yeah, and then you've got good perspective. So I've been kicking that around a little bit too. Before we did it at AB Munis, which was essentially like 3 weeks
Yeah.
after the election. And while I think we handled it fairly well, we basically went around and said, what did you campaign on? What did you hear? What are your goals? And then we grouped them. So you get a conglomeration there, but I've been thinking about maybe pushing that just a little bit further down the road. And obviously that'll be up to the council today. It's not up to you guys, but it's something that's I'm considering a little differently.
Councillor Brown,
Well,
Mayor.
Because I think it is important. I just had somebody hit me up today in regards to running, and they were like, and this is what, I'm planning on running on. And my first thought was, well, we're working on that right now. It's already happening. Like, we've all agreed at this table, we're doing it.
Yeah.
But that's what you're running on. And I was kind of, it's that come to Jesus moment. They get on council and they realize, you're already getting a sewer treatment plant. We already talked about in previous council or whatever it is. I love having it in January. I think that gives them the time to breathe, handle the budget, because that's one that blew my head off. Just trying to subsection and line number, shoot me now. That's all just so fantastic to be a newbie and have to deal with that, like the mayor said, when you have zero.
The timing is tricky,
Yeah,
for sure.
No, I like the
That's
kick it
almost a bad
down the
idea.
road.
Mayor, and then we'll move on. this
Yeah,
one.
I think to carry on with what Councillor Jensen was saying, the idea of what are the main projects that past council have worked on, and what could be looming at the horizon, like a water treatment plant, or something like that, or the school, or whatever that is, the golf course, or whatever. No, those things are going to take a lot of capital, and that will need to be put in the budget sooner or later.
Yep. Okay. Good, thank you. This is a great amount of information. Please email or text me if you think of other things when you're like, oh yeah, that would have been great to know 3 years ago and not figure out in year 3.
Agreed.
You know, that kind of thing. So always send me that stuff between now and the election.
Okay, Counselor Court,
Move to extend to, I don't know when.
9. It'll be
That's
9.
fair. Yeah.
Okay, move to extend to 9. All in favor? Counselor Burton. Okay, 7A, Glenwood Counselor. Who is speaking on this?
I was.
Counselor Brown.
Yeah, so Counselor Libert passed away from the Glenwood Council. A couple of us served with him on different boards. I just thought it would be nice if we sent a card on behalf of council and flowers to his funeral.
I believe it's on the 13th.
That's my understanding.
Do we need I know we don't
Yes,
make
we
motions,
need to.
but do we need to do it today?
Well,
Can we?
we will have a meeting before
I
that
think
funeral.
administration has a little better pocket of money
Yeah.
somewhere.
Let's just
they
do it. If
can
we need to
use.
ratify it, we can.
Okay.
Yeah, they
I just
have a
wanted to make
pocket.
sure that it
Yeah,
happened.
no, they have a pocket of money.
Thank you.
All right, correspondence. We have a letter from Tyler Gandam about Bill 50. Anyone have any comments or questions? Seeing none. On to 8B, the Emissions Reduction Alberta grant announcement. Mayor?
I really think if council is okay with it, that we should send a thank you letter, an official thank you letter, and do a CC to our MLA.
Yep.
And whoever else is in need. Yeah, okay. So I make a recommendation to have a thank you letter to Emissions Reduction Alberta, to Justin Brightmer, regarding our grant funding for the sewer plant.
Did Joseph Scow have anything to do with talking to them? Do you know?
You know, he did in his own way, because he asked me, I was telling him we never had the privilege to know that we could announce the grant. And I spoke to him and he said, I'm going to talk to them. And then right after that came up.
Right.
So I think he had something directly or indirectly, but he had some kind of something. But it would be nice, we normally send a CC to our MLA.
We have a recommendation on the table. Okay, all in favor of that?
Go to the county,
Yep.
because we
Okay.
said we would. Are in favor?
Yep, we got it. Your hand was up.
Confidential.
Yep, that concludes our open session tonight, and we'll take a motion for closed session.
I'll make a motion to move into closed session.
Okay, all in favor? Thank you.
closed
we
session?
still got.
We have one more
Well, you
item.
got about 3 minutes.
He made a motion to come out.
I did.
All in favor? One more motion. Do we have anything else? Counselor Jensen,
Make a motion to adjourn.
all in favor? Awesome.